Yeah, let's get this kind of rolling. So, welcome everyone who's here. I think we'll get some more coming in just the first minutes here, but I of course want to say to you all that you are super duper welcome to put questions in the chat or raise your hands or anything during the talks. We don't need everyone to be totally quiet all the time and take the questions in the end. We can take questions whatever, or just not just questions. You can say anything. We have my amazing colleague Heidi in the chat and in the background, so she will make sure that we notice if you are asking anything. Do not hesitate to shout out. Okay, so StoryKit is the name of this company, and we're going to use the coming half hour, 45 minutes to talk about how to extend the reach of your research through video on social. And just because I've learned that people actually want to know what we do, what is StoryKit? Well, we are the complete video creation tool that transforms any text into compelling video content. We are a Swedish company that's been around for a couple of years, and we're right now expanding all over Europe because there are so many people who know how to write text but don't know how to do video. So that's where we fit in. And we are used by schools and universities all over Europe, of course, more in Sweden, but we are seeing huge traction in universities and school, higher education all over Europe, which we're super happy about. We're going to talk about how to leverage this much more. That's the meat of the talk. And a couple of words about us. So first of all, hi, I'm Jonna Ekman. I'm marketing director at StoryKit. Just so you all know that I have a background in higher education. I studied social psychology for a huge amount of years in the university, and I was going for a doctor's thingy, but then life changed and I turned into a journalist. And after that, I turned into a marketer. And today I'm helping people tell their stories in 1,000 different ways and telling our own company story, which is so much fun. And I also want to introduce my interviewee for today, Linda Örn-Lernström,
Yeah,
who is...
Thank you.
Oh, I just realized that you can tell them who you are yourself.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Jonna. Yeah, I'm a digital specialist and co-founder of OMA agency, and I also worked with Jonna before. So I was the CEO at the social media agency Kit that was StoryKit in the beginning. And I'm working today with StoryKit with a lot of customers. So I'm pretty used to working in StoryKit.
Yeah, and we're not going to talk a lot about the tool, but what I want you to know is that even if we are not, we haven't worked with communication at universities, we know a whole lot about telling complex stories, because we've been telling complex stories or helping others tell complex stories on social media for a lot of years, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the agenda for today, just short, we will talk about a bit about the importance of communicating research. And I'm not going to try to tell you what you already know. We're going to talk about what we've seen and what we've heard from clients, from friends, from communicators that we know. Then we'll talk a bit about social media and video. Why should we even bother? Is that the tools and the platforms that we should go to, or you should go to? Then we're going to dig into a super fun case study, and this is where I'm going to press Linda a whole lot, because she was the mastermind behind this project when it started. It's about how the Swedish Foundation for Strategic Research reached new target audience with social video, and it's going to be a fun ride. And then, of course, we're going to talk about how you can do it and what you need to be able to create videos for social media in a good manner. So that's about it. So let's start here. We all know that communicating research is increasingly important. And I found a really provocative quote from an entomologist called Jerry Hulker, who said, "How should science regain the trust of consumers? Probably not by doing more research. Instead, scientists are increasingly urged to come out from their academic ivory tower and become better communicators." So we know that there is so much going on there behind those doors, but we never get to see it. And I know that you've seen this a lot, not just from universities or higher education. We have companies, we have like commercial companies that still don't know how to communicate what they do to the world. Do you see that, Linda?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's what we're trying to help our customers every day at work.
Yeah. So why is regaining the trust of the audience so important? Well, we see huge changes today. And this is the quote from the Rogers Peterson group. They say, in light of recent attacks on science, efforts to close off international exchange and proposals to sharply cut federal funding for agencies that support science and medical research. And we see this attack on facts, researchers, the academic institutions all around. You reminded me yesterday, Linda, about a huge discussion that we're having in Sweden right now, in the politics area. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, but we don't have a science minister anymore in Sweden. So I know this has been a big debate around in Europe, that this is a big problem because you have to focus on science. So what it's going to be like in Sweden, I don't know, but this is a big thing right now here, and has been.
Yeah, truly. And there's been a lot of talk about fake news and all of that, and that's a problem for journalists, but it's truly also a problem for researchers, because all of a sudden we don't talk about research as facts, we talk about it as opinions.
Yeah, and Jonna, we also talked about yesterday that is so important to own the communication as with the research, and own even social media.
Yeah, so you control the message.
Yeah.
Yeah, truly. And so communicating your research is for many universities a duty, not a choice. And you need to showcase the societal benefits of university research. You have to tell the public all the time why what you're doing is important, because if you don't have that support from the others, it'll become difficult. It's super important to get increased engagement by students, faculty, and staff. And one way of doing that is communicating what you actually do. It's also important for recruiting. You need to reach the researchers of tomorrow, and they're probably hanging out on TikTok today, or on YouTube, or on Facebook. And then, of course, create this public engagement. And I had a really nice quote here from two professors from universities in the States. So public engagement can improve university standing and regard by the community, facilitate donor relations, encourage informed decision-making to drive policy change, enhance trust in science, and ultimately change the world. These are big words, but they're actually true. So it's super important. And this is the part that you know better than us, that we just wanted to remind you that what you do is super important. So what's the problem then? Okay, so we got the amazing research, we got the researchers, we got the institutions, we got the know-how. So the basic problems is this. So in 1970, the audience was exposed to like 500, maybe 1,600 ads per day. Today, or last year, the audience was exposed to up to 10,000 ads per day. And these are just commercial messages. So what we do on social media or on television or wherever, we compete with our brother's wedding, our best friend's new baby, thousands of other commercial messages, and just messages. You see this all the time, Linda, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
How difficult it is to like stand out in that extreme flood of messaging that's out there.
Yeah, it's so true.
And also we see this. So we are spending so much time in social media, and I could put up a whole bunch of numbers proving this, but I think you all know that this is what we do. even when we hang out with friends, this is what we do. We check our LinkedIn account, we check our Twitter account, we go to TikTok, we go to Reddit, we go to a lot of logos that we don't even know what it is, but our kids know. So we are always in this flow of more and more and more messaging. And that is the problem when you're trying to communicate something that is a bit more difficult to talk about than just the average viral thing. So the challenge for universities is that you have loads of good things to talk about, but probably, I'm not saying this goes for all of you, but I'm guessing if you're just a bit like marketers today, there are very few people working with communication. You also have very broad target audience. You have students, you have the public, you have stakeholders, you have donors, you have whatnot. I'm guessing that compared to us marketers, one of the things we need to do is like to really simplify our target audience, but you can't because you have so many stakeholders out there. And you need to educate not only about the research, but the value of doing it and the behind the scenes and even the effects of the research. Why are we doing this? What's the effect? What's happening? And of course, as we said, very complex subjects, not always, but many times. Complex languages. You can make jokes about that, but it's true. The academics often use wording that is a bit difficult to translate for the ordinary people. And complex formats. You write long texts. That's the gist of it. I talked to Marie Hägg, or actually Linda did, at the University of Gävle, who is a client of us and is using StoryKit to communicate research. And what she says is that they want to tell people how they contribute to society and show that they're an important player. But the problem is that their school sits on a lot of research with heavy messages, and it doesn't work to put 50 pages from a thesis into the hands of the audience. And we all know this because, yeah. So now you're sitting there thinking, okay, we know that our stories are a bit complex. We know that the world is complex, that our target audience is broad. Why would video help? Well, I'm not a big fan of numbers when it comes to this because so much of them are just made up, but let's look at these anyway. So we want video. 54% of people want to see more video from organizations. And this is something that we see, Linda, all the time, that the audience are really craving video on social media.
Yeah.
What did you see when you worked at KIT and when you're working with video contra text in social media?
Yeah, but it was so amazing because on KIT in the beginning, we were doing texts on social media and it didn't work at all. And we tried video and it was like a huge difference. Like the reach went from nothing to like, so I don't know, like 500,000 every week or something. So it was amazing development when we went from text to video, and this we've been seeing for the last couple of years. That if you want to have reach, you want to engage, video is the way to go.
Yeah. And what we also saw at KIT, because we looked at the data really thoroughly, was that people at the time were talking a lot about, well, it's the algorithm. It's Facebook tweaking their algorithms so video gets this attention. And what we saw was that it wasn't just the algorithms, it was actually people's behavior. Because sometimes we published videos that we saw that the algorithm was trying to push down, but the audience just pulled it up again.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, for sure.
Super
and I think it's because like 5 years ago we worked with KIT. In the beginning it was like we saw this huge increase in video, but at the same time right now when I'm looking at the data for many of our customers, like video is by far the most engagement format we work with, so video works.
Yeah. And another thing that is interesting is that we know that we remember videos or moving images much better than reading a text. They say that viewers can retain almost 95% of a message when they watch it in a video, compared to 10% when reading it in a text. So that's super amazing that communicating with video will make the viewer actually remember things better. And also, we love to share video. Video is a super social format. So studies have shown that video can generate 1,200% more shares than text and image content combined. We need to remember that this isn't for every video, of course, and it's not for every text, it's not for every image, because sometimes you tell a story better with an image. Sometimes you need to tell a story with a text, but when you can tell the story with a good video, it's going to be good. Yeah, there were the sources: HubSpot, Forbes, and Brightcove. And so, numbers aside, we know video is working because it is engaging in a way no other content is. We know because we have all scrolled our feeds that video is eye-catching in a busy feed. It just catches our attention. Video is also good because it's tapping into emotions, and tapping into emotions is the best way to get people to see you. It's also perfect for storytelling because you can actually tell micro stories, but finish them in a video instead of just saying, look at this little thing. And it's also perfect when you need to explain things, which is something I believe that a lot of you here today struggle with all the time. It's also perfect for social media. As we said, it's quick and it's effortless for the viewer, and it's super easy to share, and you don't have to leave the platform. And it's a lot of talk about not leaving the platform today, Linda. How do you think about that piece?
Yeah, but I think that's a goal for many of the customers that I work with, that you want to tell the story on social media. But also, I think when you work with research, is really important for the transparency and to get the facts right, is to work with a good call to action to the article where you can introduce them to the full research. So I think that's something to work with when we work with research, that the call to action is really, really good and you have a good article to link into.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're saying here is that you should all start turning complex research into quick videos. And I know that can feel a bit overwhelming for a lot of people. It can feel overwhelming for the ordinary marketer who's going to talk about their company or their product. So why wouldn't it feel overwhelming for you who sits on like pages and pages and pages of great research? And that's why we wanted to start with this case study. So could you just shortly tell us what Swedish Foundation for Strategic Research do?
Yeah, of course. They fund research in science, technology, and medicine. So they're like an organization for different groups in research. And the problem they had was that they wanted to reach a wider population. That was really hard for them because they didn't reach them at the moment. So they wanted to become a part of the social debate and increase the interest for the research in Sweden. And especially this wider population, it was young adults age 25 to 44, and with focus in women. And this was a really hard target group for them to reach. And as I say, they wanted to be a part of the social debate. And the long-term big goal was also to attract young people to become scientists in the future. As you said, Jonna, like they're not, maybe they're on TikTok today or Instagram, so they had to reach them as well.
Yeah. Do you remember how they used to communicate before you started this project?
Yeah, with their own website and with PR, and with different kind of collaborations with others, but it's like more like the regular way they're communicating.
Yeah, and I'm guessing they had hard time getting people to that website.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a short note, as I noticed that in the Q&A, you're asking about if you're getting the slides afterwards, and the answer is yes. You will get a recording of this amazing talk, and you will get the slides, of course. Yeah, so they struggled, and then they found this was Eva Regård, who was head of communications there at the time. And she said that she was convinced there was already strong interest in the research field among Swedes. Swedes were interested in these topics, but the missing piece in the puzzle was adopting the right tone, formats, and channels to reach them. And for a head of communications at a research organization, it's really, really brave to make the decision to go with a social media agency and do video on social, wouldn't you say, Linda?
Yeah, for sure. Eva was really, really brave. And also she was brave because she understood that the target group was on social media, but what she also wanted to do was to build her own media channel. And that's what we were doing with KIT. So the social media communication wasn't going from the Swedish Foundation for Strategic Research. It was packaged under a name called Framsteg, and was a collaboration with KIT. So she created together with KIT their own media channel to reach these younger persons in Sweden.
That's a super brave decision. I've met Eva a couple of times, and you just have to meet her to know that she's brave.
Yeah.
So the solution was social video, and I seem to have copy pasted the wrong text there. Anyways, never mind. The solution was social video, and as you said, you built a specific like media channel together with KIT in this. And today we have seen hundreds of videos been made. But this is also something that a lot of our clients work with in-house. Instead of taking this step with a social media agency, they decide to do it in-house. What would you say is the pros and cons of that?
By doing it in-house or not in-house?
Yeah.
I think it's when you're doing it in-house, you own the communication. But I think it's good to have a part that can look at it from the outside, because it's easy to always do what you've been done. So maybe you pushes yourself out of your comfort zone if you do it with someone else. And I think like with KIT, when we're doing this media channel, it was really good because what Eva saw, which was so good, was we have like magazines in Sweden doing like science research, talking about that, but not in a serious way. So she sort of also like a way to making it a new channel, and that the engagement and the reach would be much higher. And I think she was correct there, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. So what you see here are 4 examples of videos that are still being made. This project is still ongoing. It's been like, what, 4 or 5 years?
I think like 5, 6 years, actually. Like,
yeah.
it's 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and Eva isn't even, she doesn't even work there anymore.
No.
So it's really a surviving project. And as you can see, even you who don't speak Swedish, you can see that these are like super efficient social media videos, easy to consume, easy to read, easy to like tap into emotions and all of that. But what are the subjects? So it's carbon dioxide, it's pancreatic cancer, it's sleep research, and biomimetics that I don't even know how to pronounce. So these are not the simplest of subjects that they are talking about, but they're doing it in a way that is suitable for the channel.
Yeah.
And then the results. So these you can talk about even more than I can, Linda. So tell us what happened when after a while.
Yeah, but we've been doing like hundreds of social videos, and as you said, with picking a subject that is not always the broad subjects that are the best. I think when we are really nerdy and try to find details that are interesting, we have the greatest success. So most adults in Sweden have actually
Sorry.
being reached by the video content from SSF and from Framsteg. And as I said, that we've seen such a great engagement, comments, shares, you name it. And they also had the greatest impact in the target group, that was women aged 25 to 44. And maybe I should mention also that the channels we choose for this was Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube. And and I will also say that the reach is organic, so we haven't had any media budget for this. I think that's pretty amazing.
So all organic on Facebook that they say don't get any organic reach.
Yeah.
Just a little side topic here, but we have one person in the chat asking about the algorithms, and they don't seem to like our videos anymore. That the posts with images and texts do better than those with film. And I will let you answer that also, Linda, but what I see and what we see who work social media with video and text and images all the time is that we see that it depends. I mean, as I said in the beginning, some stories are better off told with text and images. Some stories are better told with video. But what you need to remember here, which I always talk about when it comes to video or any social posting at all, is that you need to know what the goal of that specific post is. Is the goal to drive traffic to your site, and you realize that this will be better off as an image? We'll do that. If you want to be able to tell the whole story on the platform, use video. Yeah. If you need to do whatever goal you have, you should choose the format and the way of talking in that way. Also, you need to, you always need to listen to the audience and adapt your videos and your communication towards what they seem to want. And maybe it has changed a bit. Maybe they need something faster or something different or something. So it's adaptation. What do you say, Lina?
Yeah, but I have like two things that I've noticed like the last year. And one thing is that pictures are better for driving traffic if you want them to go to your website. But if you want engagement, then video is the top choice. So it's, as you say, Jonna, this what you want to do, that's important. But one more thing that I see, especially if you if you have a younger target group, is that it's harder to get a good view through to your materials. You really have to be like shorter videos, and they can't be like you have to kill your darlings. You can't tell too much in your videos.
You have to do better videos.
But
that's what we struggle with, but that is what we struggle with all the time. I mean, just because you also have to remember, and this is a misconception that I see many people do, it will not work just because it's video. It still has to be good video.
Yeah. But one thing that I see,
I'm sorry, I just need to finish that thought, because what we see is that what is a good video? Well, the answer to that is you don't know until you've tried and tried and tried 1,000 times. So it's that easy and that hard.
Yeah. And also that I think you can come a long way by adding a little budget for your posts.
Yeah.
And I like to add the budget to the post that goes well. Because then you're gonna have such a bigger increase in what you do. So and it can be like,
that's a good tip.
Yeah, but you wanna boost things that people cares about. That's good to have in mind.
So you post it organically. You look at how it works, and if it works good, whatever good is for you, you just put a little bit of budget behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really nice trick. Okay, so what Eva said after a while doing this is that she was extremely pleased with the results. They're reaching young adults and a majority of women, a difficult group for us to reach otherwise. So really happy and a really good case study of how you can truly transform how you communicate and who you reach. Okay, so they did it, and they did it together with an agency. So what can you do to also do this? So we're going to give you a couple of steps. So the first thing you need to do, and I guess you all know this already, you need to get the stakeholders on board. So just going out there saying, we're going to put all the research on social media might meet a little bit of resistance. And one way to show the stakeholders that this work is to show them the actual benefits of working in social media, other case studies, data. You can show them numbers from this little keynote here, just show them the benefits. And then, I mean, working with social media doesn't have to only have to do with contents and formats. It has to do with social media in itself. What are the best practices to work there? So what you need to do is to train others to learn how to use social media, because it's a very special thing to do. Of course, a good thing to do is to involve people in the content. And we mean actually involve them, having them in the content, like talk to the researchers, use them for your video, show their faces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
and I wanna say something about that. I think it's also this can be a bit tricky because social media can be scary, like with comments and stuff. But I think it's so good also try to have the researchers in the comments, like people can ask them questions, like have a dialogue with the viewers. It's really important. And maybe you can have I think it's good to like have people can ask questions, and you can do like social videos from that, give the answers later in a social video, so you can also use it to create new contents.
Yeah, that's true. You don't need to wait for the huge magazine to could we use your researcher as a specialist? You can do your own content with them as specialists and so forth. So another thing that I know is really important is to show the researchers that this can be done while still being respectful towards their work. So I remembered when I studied, my professor just hated talking to the media. He was like, at one point, someone called me and asked the question, and I said, you can't ask the question like that. You need to ask it like this. And I told him, and then he said, thank you very much, and hung up on me. And they hadn't even come to the answer. So that I know that there's a lot of skepticism about simplifying and shortifying this extremely well done research. Have you seen that when you've met this type of audience or this type of content creators? I hope that wasn't a question for you, Linda.
What do you say?
That was a question for you.
Yeah, but
what your experience is with when it comes to showing the respect for the work.
Yeah, but I also know when I was talking with Marie at Gävle högskola, she talked so much about that, and how important it is to get the researchers to show respect for them. And I think that she said one thing that was really interesting was that when she can work with the researcher to have respect for the work, it's been like a good collaboration. She had researcher who was using her material when there were the presentations of the research. So I think you should see it as a co-working thing with the researchers as well, and get them involved in what you do. I think that's the key to be respectful and have a good collaboration with the researchers.
Yeah, truly. So this is what Maria Susad was saying, that not all researchers understand why their study should be posted on social media. So it's important for her and the university to explain why this is just as important as sending out the press release. And one of the reasons here that you and I were talking about, Linda, is that you mentioned it earlier too, that telling these stories on social media yourself is also a way of controlling that message. Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, but I think that, you do a press release and and someone picks it up, and it maybe can go like viral on social media, and in the end maybe the journalist doing this, taking this press release, does it wrong, the content is wrong. So I think it's better like trying to own all the communication, like do your own social media post, like then I think it's a way like taking control of the communication from like the article to the press release and to social media.
Yes, super. What you also need to do is set a sustainable production process. And if you don't already work a lot with social media, which I'm guessing many of you already are touching upon at least, but then you know that you first of all need to define your channels. Which are our channels? Where are our audience? Where do you find our audience? How are we going to reach them there? And if you don't work already with social media, it's a good tip to start with one. I've seen people do the mistake of just, well, we're going to have Instagram and we're going to have TikTok and we're going to have LinkedIn and we're going to, and the thing is, you need to like master one platform before you start working on others.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing there, because it can be really tricky, because as you said, Jonna, earlier in the presentation, it was like there's so many different platforms right now, and then you have to go back to your target group. Where are they? Look at the statistics and maybe start there.
Yeah, truly. The second thing is to define your narrative formats, and this will be a bit dependent. If you're a marketer, that's simple because you're always talking about kind of the same thing, but you will be talking about so many different things. But one way of not having this overwhelming world of content is to try to find the same things in all the research. Like, I'm going to find a list. I'm just making this up as I go. And I'm going to do one short interview with the researcher. I am also going to do one explainer, like try to find those narrative formats. So when you are approaching the research, you're not like a blank page every time, because it will take you so much time and so much work. So if you're looking for something specific, you will find it much, much faster. Then also, to make things work faster, is to set guardrails. I mean, we know that we publish in this channel, we have this tonality, we do this storytelling, we have this type of messages, this is how our brand looks, and these are the images we work with. If you have that set already, you'll cut so much time from, what are we going to do with this? So that making a sustainable production process is to like really try to minimize those hurdles. And then, of course, disclaimer, this is you should choose a tool that enables everyone to make everything a video while still safeguarding the brand. And there are a lot of tools that you could start out with that are free, that are simple, and so forth, and it's a super good way to start. But if you want to have a tool that actually controls all these things and also helps you with the storytelling, then you should talk to me afterwards. Hint, hint. But let's get into what I really want to talk to Linda about. This is the content creation in itself. So what are your best recommendations when people are trying to find the social stories to tell in a huge amount of complex information?
Yeah, but I think like an example from SSF, that the strategy was to use explainer formats, because I think for research that's really good, and because then you can, like I was talking about earlier, like pick like a detail or something that's really nerdy or interesting from the research, ask a question to the audience, and then let the researcher or someone else, an expert, answer to the question. So I think that you have to like have a you had to have in mind that you want to try something, and then you try it out a couple of times and see, does this work? Okay, not. And then you do something else. So I think that you have to like do something a couple of times, learn from it, and don't be afraid to like to try it on. And as I said, that I think is really important also to use real persons in your videos, students, researchers, all the people that's working or the students in your universities use them. So, and I think also, as we talked about the topics before, that it's not always like the broad, what you think can be like interesting for your target group, that I think it should be nerdy and go into details. I always think about like, if I should tell this to a friend over a coffee or over a beer, what would I tell them? Try to be like as interesting as possible. Like, did you know this? And with that, you can make your content, like try to imagine, how would I tell this? You know, the classic, like his pitch, but you have to like, how do you get people to listen to you? What's the best things with this? And so we also talked about the dialogue with the viewers or the target groups. I think this is really important as well. Like, use them, be active, ask questions in your materials, in the content, but also in the captions, and ask questions in the comments. And can they take part in the content, the people, the viewers, with Q&As and so on? So it's really important to be active with your target groups.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I have some more thoughts on that. We often say, like, think as a journalist, which is such a, not even journalists know how they think.
No.
But what we mean with this has to do with like really trying to find that angle, really try, as you say, find that specific nerdy thing. If you would tell your friends about this webinar, you wouldn't say, I went to a webinar today, there were two girls talking, because no one would care. But maybe you like, do you know what I learned from there? I learned that. And then you have some super interesting detail from this specific webinar that you were learning. And that is such a good tip to like really think that, what should I tell? What would my friends love to hear this or not? And one mistake that we see people do a lot is they set headlines on their videos, but the headlines aren't like fun. They're not enticing. They're not drawing you in. It's more like a header, like new things happening here. And it's like, I'm not interested. So you really need to be brave enough to find that angle. And that's what we mean with think as a journalist, like really try to push it a bit.
But I think it's like, you know, with the headline, like the first seconds are so important to get people in, and the first second in the video, but also like the caption while you're writing there. And I think like working with a bit of like curiosity gaps can be really, really good. And then you can be super serious, but you have to drag them in your material. So that's really important. So I think like asking questions in the headline is a good start. Actually, because you ask the question and then you give the answer.
Then there's a golden rule: don't forget to answer the question. I've seen so many videos online that's like, that's interesting, I never got the answer. So questions, and also good quotes is really good, because it makes you feel close to the viewer. If you see there we have the person thing again, use real people and real quotes.
But I also think that one thing that is really good to have in mind is, where's your target group right now? What are they, what do they have in mind? Like, where's the social debate? Can you like link your research to something that's relevant right now for your target group or in the world? That's really good, actually.
Yeah. I need to ask you one thing before we leave this slide. Is, I know that being on social media, we've talked about being active and engaged, and being on social media can be so intimidating. Like, am I going to mess up? Am I going to do anything wrong? Are people going to hate me? Am I going to? So what's your tip on like getting over that fear of social?
I think that you just have to like, people can be hard on social media. And I think you have just let it go and trying to be as correct as possible. And that is okay also to, if someone writes something rude, you can take it away. Like I think it's good to have like a social media policy that is like, I don't expect this is not okay in our channels. Like, and then you can like be hard and like, this is our policy. You have to behave like this, otherwise you take it away. And I also think that it's good to, when you're in like this kind of subjects that are more like serious, you talk about research and stuff like that, that use your website, like link to the research, be really like, you don't have to be so cheeky and like a happy person. You can be right, like here now, this is what it is, this is the article, you can read more here. So and try to not take it so personal, I think. Most people are nice. I have like, you know, Facebook groups. People can be like crazy there, but you know, it's like you just have to like, I don't you learn how to
brush
like,
it off.
yeah, brush it off. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also what I've realized is that people forget so fast, and people are also kind of harsh in the beginning, and then if you answer them nicely, like kill them in kindness, they're often,
Yeah.
we've gotten so many likes. Oh yeah, how can you misspell this thing in a really aggressive manner? And then you say, oh, sorry, thank you for letting me know, we're going to change that immediately. And then people are like, oh, thank you. So it's really, oftentimes, if it's not a really brutal question that you're talking about, it's easier to kill them with kindness.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the clock here. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's really good, Jonna. And one more thing, I think it's good to be like, try to be personal. I always try to like, when I'm answering a question, even if it's from a client's account, I write like Linda on this company.
Yeah.
Because then you are like, then it's harder to be hard against you when you know you're a real person as well.
Yeah. Truly. So we're a bit over time now, so I'm gonna rush things a bit. As I said, you will all get these slides, but 3 tips from Marie. I'm just gonna go through them really quick because we've really already touched upon them. So zoom in and to reel your audience in. Try to scale down the information and try to find the most interesting and relevant stuff, as we have said, and try things out because you will find out what your audience like. Use great imagery. And one thing that I know is that many universities have a lot of good photos. They have photos of the environment and of students and of the school and of everything. So use them, and then also add some that you've taken yourself, or if you use our tool, you will also have a huge image library, but that's another thing. And then, as Linda, you were talking about earlier, that you should not be afraid to end on a call to action, because even if you tell a whole story in the video, like you truly ask a question and answer it, there is always huge amounts of things that you can still learn. So just put a call to action, read more here, download the study here, find more information on our website, and so forth and so forth. Never be afraid of that, because one thing that I've learned in social is that people want to know what this is going to lead to. Why am I looking at this? Because you're going to get more. Then it's time for distribution, and we've talked a bit already about distribution in social, but the important things here, apart from choosing your platforms, and don't worry so much about which time is the best and so forth, you're going to learn. But what you need to always remember is what Linda was talking about, that you are joining a conversation. So we had a distribution manager earlier who always talked about, think of it as joining a party. You can't just burst into a party and start talking about something that everyone don't care about. So either first of all, you need to listen. What are they talking about? And then you can either be brave enough to start a new conversation, but you know that it's the right time and place. You can join the conversation, which we oftentimes do at social, or you can try to end the conversation by wrapping it up and adding something new to that. So that is a really nice way of looking at the conversation on social media. And also let the audience stay on the platform. There are so many times when you can enable them to click through and come to other things, but don't be afraid to publish things that don't. And then for you, for everyone, but especially for you, many things that you are publishing, writing, researching about are evergreen. They will be around forever. The things that you learn are super interesting in a year from now, 2 years from now. So never be afraid to redistribute. Oh, so someone started talking. There is a huge debate on this thing that we put out a paper on 2 years ago. We made a video for that. Let's pick that up and put it into that conversation. This is something we were really good at doing at KIT. Tell us about that, Linda.
Yeah, but I think that our goal was to redistribute maybe 4 or 5 times, and we saw that it was so effective because when you put something out the first time, it's just a couple of % of your followers to see the post. So redistribute should be like a goal in your distribution strategy. And as Jonna said as well, and as we were talking about before, like, where's the social debate right now? Where are your target groups? You can find like new subjects in the caption and make possible to redistribute it. So I think this is really important.
Yeah, it is. And then, of course, stating the obvious here, but it's something that people forget: learn and repeat. So the best thing to start working with social is to just start working with it. Start publishing something, not just never something really bad, but start trying something out. That is when you can look at what worked and what don't. I see so many people trying to like read all the best practices and learn how it is and how to, and you will never know until you've tried. And then you can rethink your plan and build on your insight, keep executing. And when it works, make sure to show this to all your stakeholders. Look, this worked. And then we get back to the first point of this, to like really get a hold of the stakeholders. This is also something that we've been doing quite a lot at KIT, looking, learning, iterating, and changing.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of when we've changed something that was built on insights?
Yeah, but I think like we had this channel for KIT, and we were just covering a couple of subjects, and it doesn't work at all. And we were looking at like I'm talking about KIT Beauty, and then we discovered that this target group was really into health as well. So then we added this subject to the channel, and it worked so well. So I think that I think it's good to look at what are other people doing, how do they tell stories, and then you can try it out and see, does it work, does it not work? If it doesn't work, don't do it anymore, try something else. Like trying to analyze what's working, what's not, and have like ideas what you want to try out. So I think that's really good.
Yeah. Great. So that was it from us. I want to thank you all who's been with us from start to end, even if it took us a bit longer to get through this than we had planned, but it was so interesting. And thank you, Linda, for doing super duper interesting things on social media, for joining us today.
Yeah, but thank you so much. And Jonna, when you're sending out the presentation, if you want to add my email address, if someone has questions about the work with SSF or anything else, you can happily like send me a question on the email.
Yeah, super. So thanks everyone. We'll be sending out this as soon as we can, and up until then, have a nice week, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.